Welcome to the first lecture of Special Theory of Relativity. We are going to start from Galilean transformation. When the things will get messier, in time dilation, I will switch to Hindi for a minute to make you understand a bit more. For now, here is the Galilean transformation. It is just a simple transformation where we use the velocity and time. Now suppose we have a frame S and we have a frame S dash, and S dash frame is moving with a constant velocity v with respect to the frame S, and suppose there is an event taking place. That event must have some coordinates, and those coordinates will be x, y, z and t. We are including a time coordinate extra here because later on we will find that time changes with respect to the frame. Okay, so we are including time from the start here, x, y, z and t. So according to Galilean transformation, if there is another frame which is moving with a constant velocity, then we have got these transformation formulas. R minus R dash is equals to R minus Vt, X dash is equals to X minus Vt, Y dash is equals to Y, Z dash is equals to Z, T is equals to T dash. We don't have Y dash is equals to Y minus Vt because this H dash frame is only translating in one direction, that is in X direction. Therefore we have minus Vt in only X axis, not in Y, not in Z, and not in time. For now, not in time. Okay, so we can have some reverse transformation here also. You can see it. Moving on, for a rod of length L, suppose there is a rod of length L, and we know that for any rod or any length there must exist 2 points. One must be the beginning and one must be the end. Okay, so we are basically taking only 2 points, x2 minus x1 and then x2 dash minus x1 dash. This length is measured from the S frame of reference, and this length is measured from S dash frame of reference. Now if we simply put from here x dash 1 value and x2 dash value in here, then we will find that L dash is equals to L. That means length does not change in Galilean transformation, and distance between 2 points is actually invariant. Now we have R dash is equals to R minus Vt, or we can also say that we have R is equals to R dash plus Vt. R is equals to R dash plus Vt. Now when we differentiate that, we have R is equals to R dash, we have R is equals to R dash plus Vt. Then when we differentiate it, we get dr by dt plus dr dash by dt plus Vt by t. It should be Vt by dt. Then when we differentiate this, the only term that will be left will be V, and V is a constant velocity as we know. So we write here dr by dt is equals to V plus dr dash by dt. This implies that this is actually a kind of velocity, and this is also a velocity, but in on the other frame of reference. This one is from S frame of reference and this one is from S dash frame of reference. Now when we again differentiate this term, this will turn into acceleration with respect to S frame of reference, and this will turn into acceleration with respect to H dash frame of reference. And since this velocity is constant, therefore dv by dt will be equals to 0. Okay, so basically Galilean transformation, which we will call GT in short form, has two assumptions. First, there exists a universal time t which is same in all system, all reference frames. That means that time is constant for here. And the second assumption is that length is also constant. Length basically means the distance between 2 points is also constant. Now, since absolute velocity of a body has no meaning, we introduce relative velocity concept. Absolute velocity of a body is basically meaningless, because when we say that some body has velocity v, we are saying that we are looking at that body with a velocity v. That means that body is in velocity b with respect to me. So everything that has a velocity is always with respect to something. It is always with respect to something. That means it is always relative. Therefore, this is also known as principle of relativity. Next, the basic laws of physics are valid for inertial systems. Obviously, Newton's laws are also valid for inertial systems. In case of GT as I told you, it will be Galilean transformation. In case of Galilean transformation, F dash will be equals to F. Obviously, F dash will include M A dash and F will be equals to MA. Now we know that A dash is equals to A, therefore F dash will be equals to F. That means force is also constant. It is irrespective to the frame we choose. Newton's laws of motion are also invariant in Galilean transformation. Since we know that force is the second law of Newton, and the third law of Newton also is somewhat related to force. I mean, it is mostly related on force. And if force is invariant, then we can safely say that all the three Newton's laws are invariant under Galilean transformation. Okay. An observer will measure speed c minus v for light moving along the direction of its motion and c plus v for the light moving in opposite direction. This assumption was contradicted by Michelson and Morley. This is very obvious. Suppose there is a person here who is moving with a velocity v, and we have a beam of light which is moving with a velocity c in his direction. Then from relativity and using Galilean transformation, we can simply say that the new velocity will be v plus c. Or if the light is coming from this direction, then the velocity with respect to this man of this light will be c minus v. But it is not the case. There is not a single velocity which exceeds the speed of light, I mean the velocity of light. Therefore, this is a very contradictory statement, and this will be contradicted, it will be contradicted by Michelson and Morley experiment. We will have a separate video on Michelson and Morley experiment. Now, moving further, you see postulates of STR, postulates of a special theory of relativity. Special theory of relativity is established by Einstein, and he has got some very great ideas which later led to the general theory of relativity, which is really messier. First one, the first postulate is all the laws of physics have the same form in all inertial frames moving with constant velocity relative to one another. That means all of the laws of the physics will be okay with respect to the inertial frames. The second postulate is the speed of light is constant in vacuum in every inertial frame. Okay. Actually, we can say that the second postulate which says that velocity of light is constant, the velocity of light is constant, is actually determined by the first postulate. So these two are not actually different postulates, but they depend on each other. Now, we have a new transformation. Apart from Galilean transformation, we will be focusing on Lorentz transformation, and most of the relativity part will go via Lorentz transformation. We will later on not need any Galilean transformation. For understanding Lorentz transformation, we have a frame S and a frame S dash, and the S dash frame is moving with a velocity, constant velocity v. Remember, this should be constant. If it is not constant, then the theory of relativity, special theory of relativity, is simply invalid. Okay, this should always be constant. Suppose there is a point P, that is some event, and it has coordinates x, y, z and t, x dash, y dash, z dash, t dash. This set of coordinate is based on the frame of reference S, and this set of coordinate is based on the frame of reference of S dash. Okay. Now assume that O and O dash of two coordinate systems coincide at t is equals to t dash is equals to 0. That means these two frame of reference at some instant were superimposed at t is equals to t dash is equals to 0, and later on with constant velocity the frame s dash moved on. Okay, now from here, from this figure we can say that time is equals to distance per unit velocity. For this distance OP, we have time is equals to OP by c. Since we are taking a speed of light, that means we are taking some particle, and we know that most of the particles are very close to the velocity of most of the particles are very close to the speed of light. So we are dealing here with particles, so we will be taking c, velocity of light here, as the velocity. Then time will be distance per unit velocity. Distance is OP, and OP can be written as root under x square plus y square plus z square. Obvious, this is very obvious. Then we ponder upon this equation, we get this equation. This equation is very very important, remember this. Now for t dash, for time with respect to second frame of reference, here we have assumed that the time will change. Therefore, we have taken t dash. Otherwise, in case of Galilean transformation, we did not assume that the time will change. Okay. So here t dash is equals to O dash p by c. O dash p is simply x dash square plus y dash square plus z dash square. Root under this term. Okay. And this term will further convert into this equation. Is it okay? Now these two equations are also the equation of wave front of respective frames. Wave front, as you are very well known, travel as a spherical form, travels in spherical form, and these two equations look like spherical forms, doesn't it? Now moving further, let's put Galilean transformation in it. For some reason, let's just put Galilean transformation in it. We know the four Galilean transformation equations: x dash is equals to x minus vt, y dash is equals to y, z dash is equals to z, and t dash is equals to t. Now we put x dash, y dash, z dash and t dash in this equation. When we put these four equations in here, we find this equation which further expands in this equation. Okay. Now when you look at this equation, we actually wanted this equation to become this equation, but it actually became this equation where there are two extra terms, which is actually contradictory. Therefore, we assume that there is some problem with Galilean transformation and we have to add some extra terms. That term could be constant, could be a constant, could depend on variable, anything. So we considered x dash is equals to alpha times of x minus vt and t dash is equals to alpha dash times of t minus fx. Now we put these two terms in here, and y dash is equals to y and z dash is equals to z in here. After expanding these terms, we get here. Now we actually want this equation to look exactly like this equation. So how can we do that? By forcing this term to be equals to 1 and this term equals to 0, so that x and t, when both are multiplied, these terms give 0. Okay, we force this term is equals to 0 and this term is equals to 1. You must do it at home and try it once. When we solve these three terms, we get alpha is equals to alpha dash is equals to 1 by root under 1 minus v square by c square, and f is equals to minus v by c square. Therefore, we get new Lorentz transformation. A new Lorentz transformation will be x dash is equals to x minus vt by root under 1 minus v square by c square, y dash is equals to y, z dash is equals to z, t dash is equals to t minus vx by c square by root under 1 minus v square by c square. Now if you look carefully, if this velocity of light is much higher than the velocity of particle, then v by c will tend to 0 and the Lorentz transformation will change to Galilean transformation. Therefore, we can safely say that these equations are basically made for particles which move with a velocity which is comparable to the speed of light. Now there are some terms which are just a representation. Beta can be written as v by c, gamma can be written as 1 by root under 1 minus v square by c square is equals to 1 by root under 1 minus beta square. Similarly, x is equals to gamma times of x dash plus v t dash, y is equals to y dash, z is equals to z dash, then z dash, t is equals to gamma times of t dash plus v x dash by c square. Actually, this is called inverse Lorentz transformation. It is similar to this. But only the thing is that we want here t dash, we want here t. This is with respect to h dash frame and this is with respect to s frame. That is all the difference. Rest is the same. Now there were some consequences of Lorentz transformation. As we have seen, in Galilean transformation, the length was not changing. The distance between 2 points was not changing. But it is not the case in Lorentz transformation. Here, the length will change. The time will also change. And there will be some problem with simultaneity. Starting from length contraction. Suppose in h dash frame, we have a length L naught, x2 dash minus x1 dash. And in S frame, we have a length x2 minus x1. Now, we got these two Lorentz transformation equations. We do this x2 dash minus x1 dash, we will find this and therefore we get L is equals to L naught by gamma. This is a very important equation. It was asked in many exams, so remember this. So what does this actually signify? First of all, remember what each and every term says. L naught says length in h dash frame. That means there is a frame h dash where there is a rod which is moving and L naught is its original length and the rod is moving. But I am here at rest, I am sleeping here. I want to know the length of the rod when the rod is moving. Then I will measure this length L, this length of rod to be L. It will be different for me. The measurement will be different for me. Therefore, L is the length in S frame. And so what is the difference when someone measures the length of a rod in moving frame? Expanding this equation, we get L is equals to L naught root under 1 minus v square by c square. Now suppose if the velocity increases, this term will increase and this term will become small. The smaller this term will become, L will become small. This implies that length seems to be contracted with respect to the velocity of the rod. That means a fast moving car will seem to us a small car, a car with a small length. Now suppose if the car is moving with a velocity c, then what happens? Then length will tend to 0, that will the particle will vanish. अब हम ये देख रहे हैं लेंथ कॉन्ट्रैक्शन में कि हमारे पास जो एच टेस फ्रेम है वहाँ एक रॉड रखा हुआ है और वो रॉड किसी स्पीड से भागे जा रहा है. उसके स्पीड आप v मान लीजिए, वो v स्पीड से भागे जा रहा है और उसका लेंथ है एल नॉट, जिसको हम x2 डैश माइनस x1 डैश लिखेंगे. और यहाँ पे एक एस फ्रेम है. इस फ्रेम में आप बैठे हुए हो, आप सोए हुए हो सपोज़ कर लो, और आप वहाँ से मेज़र करना चाह रहे हो कि अरे वो जो रॉड इतनी तेज़ से जा रहा है उसका लेंथ क्या हो सकता है मेरे हिसाब से. तो उसको हम एल मानेंगे और हम इस इक्वेशन पे आएंगे. ठीक है, ये इक्वेशन हमें, इस इक्वेशन को जब हम एक्सपैंड करेंगे तो यहाँ से साफ पता चलता है कि जितना तेज़ वो रॉड जितनी स्पीड से वो रॉड आगे जाएगा उतना ही हमें वो रॉड छोटा दिखने लगेगा, लेंथ में हमें वो रॉड उतना ही छोटा दिखने लगेगा। जैसे कि आप देखे होंगे कि जब कोई कार बहुत ही बड़ी तेज़ी से भागता है, बहुत तेज़ी से भागता है, तो हमें लगता है कि यार कार का लेंथ तो छोटा है, लेकिन जब वो आपके सामने खड़ा रहता है तो तब आपको पता चलता है यार ये तो काफ़ी बड़ा है। F1 रेस में आपने देखा होगा। अब इमेजिन करो कि स्पीड ऑफ लाइट और जो आपका कार जो मूव कर रहा है वो स्पीड ऑफ लाइट से मूव कर रहा है, तो क्या होगा? तो एक्चुअली उसका जो लेंथ है वो इतना छोटा हो जाएगा कि वो वैनिश हो जाएगा, आपको दिखेगा ही नहीं। बात ये नहीं है कि वो ओरिजिनली छोटा हो जाएगा, बल्कि बात ये है कि आपको दिखेगा कि वो इतना छोटा हो गया है कि आपको दिख ही नहीं रहा है। ओके, वो आपको दिखेगा ही नहीं, वो इतना छोटा हो जाएगा अगर वो सी के स्पीड से जाएगा तो। ओके, मूविंग ऑन टू टाइम डायलेशन, delta t is equals to t2 minus t1 and delta t naught is equals to t2 dash minus t1 dash. Now one thing should be very clear, very clear. This is very confusing, but it should be very clear that L naught is the length with respect to S test frame and T naught is the length with respect to S test frame. Remember that the original length and original time are with respect to S test frame. Remember this always. Okay, now what we did in length we do it here too. Here t1 and t2 are to be substituted, and then we do t2 minus t1 where we get this equation, which further say that delta t is equals to gamma times of t naught, which implies that t is equals to gamma times of t naught, and t naught is the time in S test frame and t is the time in S frame. Now this is a bit confusing. Let me tell you how. Here we get t is equals to gamma times of t naught, that is t naught by root under 1 minus v square by c square. When velocity increases, the time of the observer, when velocity of the particle increases, the time of the observer increases. Okay, and when velocity tends to the speed of light, the time tends to infinite. That will the observer will have passed infinite time. Now what does this mean? The faster a particle moves with respect to lab's clock will move faster than a particle's clock. We will get this later. We will understand this right now very well, very well. Okay, a person traveling in space at a speed comparable to light will get old slower than the person watching the spaceship from lab. Now what does this actually mean? Before getting into this, you should know about the proper time. In most of the questions there is always given the proper time, and we don't get t naught. They simply don't give us the t naught, they give the proper time of the particle, which is basically the t naught, the time in the frame of S test frame. This is a very famous paradox known as twin paradox. This twin paradox is to be remembered very carefully. This is very conceptual and very important. Now suppose there are two persons A and B whose age is 20 years. A remains at rest and B takes a round trip with velocity 0.99 c, it is very close to the speed of light, to a star with respect to A. That means B goes for a universe trip with respect to A, and the A is simply sitting on Earth. Okay, the star is approximately 10 light years away. Suppose that the star is approximately 10 light years away. Now when the B comes back home and meets A, then according to A, the time taken by B in a round trip is this 20.2 years. When we use this formula, then according to A, who was sitting on the earth, he said that B was actually 20.2 years away from me. That means it took B 20.2 years to come back to A. Okay, that is what A said. Now according to B, his time of journey is only 2.8 years. But B said that no, I was away for only 2.8 years. How can you say that I was away for 20.2 years? Now, here is the dilemma. This is called the twin paradox. That both of them are actually correct in their sense, but they are paradoxing each other. I mean, they are contradicting each other. Now, according to A, the age of B is 40.2 years, and he is also obviously 40.2 years. But according to B, his age is 22.8 years only. हम अब टाइम डायलेशन देखेंगे. टाइम डायलेशन बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो डेल्टा टी टी टू माइनस टी वन होता है, डेल्टा टी डैश टी टू डैश माइनस टी वन डैश होता है. यहाँ से आप सिंपली वैल्यू पुट कर दीजिए और आपके पास ये इक्वेशन आ जाएगा. ये इक्वेशन काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. टी इज इक्वल टू गामा टाइम्स ऑफ टी नॉट, जहाँ पे टी नॉट आपका टाइम इन एच एस फ्रेम है और टी आपका टाइम इन एस फ्रेम है. अब इम्पॉर्टेंट बात ये है कि जब आप उस फॉर्मूले को एक्सपैंड करोगे तो आपके पास आएगा टी इज इक्वल टू टी नॉट बाई रूट अंडर वन माइनस वी स्क्वायर बाई सी स्क्वायर. जैसे जैसे आप वेलोसिटी इंक्रीज़ करोगे तो आप देखोगे कि ये टर्म जो है ये छोटा होते जा रहा है. ये छोटा होते जा रहा है तो ये चीज़ होल चीज़ जो है वो बढ़ते जाएगा तो टाइम भी जो है आपके पास एक्स्ट्रा होते जाएगा. ठीक है. Thus the faster a particle moves with respect to Laplace clock will move faster than of particles clock. ये जो भी है ये मैंने अभी आपको बताया, लेकिन इसको समझने के लिए सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट है ट्विन पैराडॉक्स समझना. ट्विन पैराडॉक्स आप समझ गए तो आप सब समझ गए टाइम डायलेशन के बारे में. ओके, तो इसको समझते हैं. मान लीजिए दो आदमी हैं, एक है ए एक है बी. ए और बी दोनों 20 साल का है. बी बोला कि हम एक तारा का चक्कर लेके आते हैं और वो तारा कितना दूर है, 10 लाइट ईयर दूर है. 10 लाइट ईयर दूर है, जो कि बहुत ही दूर है. ठीक है. ए बोला ठीक है भाई तुम जाओ, मैं अर्थ पे ही सोता हूँ. ए क्या किया, अर्थ पे सो गया. बी क्या किया, तारे से घूम के वापस आया. तो जब वापस आया तो ए बोला कि यार तुम तो 20.2 ईयर्स दूर थे हमसे, यानी 20 साल तुम हमसे दूर थे. लेकिन बी बोला कि नहीं, हम तो तुमसे सिर्फ 2 से 3 साल ही दूर थे, मतलब 2.8 ईयर्स 2.8 ईयर्स ही हम तुमसे दूर थे. तो ये जो एक्चुअल में ए और बी ने जो दोनों ने अपना अपना टाइम बताया कि हम तुमसे कितने दूर थे, ये एक्चुअली दोनों एक दूसरे के हिसाब से सही है. दोनों सच बोल रहे हैं. लेकिन ये एक्चुअली यही मेन पैराडॉक्स है कि दोनों सच बोल रहे हैं लेकिन दोनों गलत भी बोल रहे हैं. ठीक है. तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि ए के हिसाब से बी का 40.2 ईयर्स हो गया है और ए भी बूढ़ा हो चुका है 40.2 ईयर्स. लेकिन बी का जो रियल एज हुआ है वो है 22.8 ईयर्स. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, जो अर्थ पे छूट गया था वो बूढ़ा हो चुका है और जो घूमने गया था वो अभी जवान ही है, 22.8 ईयर्स का है. ओके. तो आप इससे टाइम डायलेशन समझ जाइए कि ये जितना फास्ट जा रहा था, आई मीन बी जितना फास्ट जा रहा था उसके पास उतना ज़्यादा टाइम था, और जो सिर्फ बैठा हुआ था उसके पास कम टाइम था और टाइम तेज़ी से भाग गया उसका. ठीक है. तो लाइफ में कभी रुकिए मत, हमेशा चलते रहिए तो आपको टाइम भी ज़्यादा मिलेगा. लेकिन आप रुक जाओगे तो आपको टाइम भी कम मिलेगा. ओके. नाउ हियर इज़ द प्रूफ. When cosmic rays fall on the upper part of atmosphere, pi mesons are produced and they decay shortly into mu meson. Shortly means very quickly, in a blink of a second. In a blink of a second, the pi meson decays into mu meson, whose lifetime is this much. Okay. Now, if this mu meson is traveling with a velocity of light, then the distance it will travel will be 2.2 into 10 to the power minus 6 second into 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay, that will be equals to 0.66 kilometer. But they are detected on the surface of the earth 10 kilometer below the atmosphere, which means that mu meson should only exist 0.66 kilometer below atmosphere, but we are able to detect it 10 kilometer below atmosphere. How can it be possible? This is only possible if there is time dilation. Here, the mu meson detected has energy. When we detected mu meson, we got some energy and we used some relativistic formulas to get the velocity of that mu meson, and we found out that the velocity is 0.999 c, which gives gamma is equals to 30. You remember gamma is equals to 1 by root under 1 minus v square by c square. When you do it, you will get 30. Okay. Now when we put this value in our time dilation formula, we will get a new lifetime, and the new lifetime is 6.6 into 10 to the power minus 5 second. And when this lifetime is multiplied with the velocity, it will give the distance it will travel, and it will travel 20 किलोमीटर. दिस इज एक्चुअली द न्यू डिस्टेंस. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि म्यू जो है, जिसका लाइफ टाइम एक्चुअली में बहुत कम है, वो सिर्फ 0.66 किलोमीटर ही चल सकता था, लेकिन हमने उसको 10 किलोमीटर नीचे तक डिटेक्ट कर लिया. ये कैसे पॉसिबल हुआ? तो ये पॉसिबल इसलिए हुआ क्योंकि हम जब म्यू मेसन को देख रहे थे तो हमें लग रहा था हम सब कुछ उसके हिसाब से कैलकुलेट कर रहे थे, जो कि हम गलत कर रहे थे. हमें उसके लाइफ टाइम को और उसके डिस्टेंस को अपने हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करना चाहिए था. और जब हम उसको अपने हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करेंगे तो टाइम डायलेशन लगेगा और एक नया लाइफ टाइम हमारे पास आएगा और एक नया डिस्टेंस ट्रेवल्ड हमारे पास आएगा. ओके. Now this one is also very important. N is equals to n naught e to the power minus t by delta t. This is a very common decay reaction, decay equation from radioactivity. You are very familiar with it, I know. This is n is equals to n naught e to the power minus t by delta t, where where t can be written as x by v and delta t can be written as delta tau by root under 1 minus v square by c square. Now v is the velocity of particle, x is the distance traveled by particle in time delta t. Now simultaneity, very important. This one is very important. If two events occur at the same time in a frame, they are said to be simultaneous. Now suppose another frame S dash moving with velocity v with respect to s. Will the simultaneity hold there? Obviously no. And here is the proof why. Okay. मतलब ये कहना ये चाह रहा है कि अगर दो इवेंट एक साथ हो रहे हैं P1 और P2 और हम इस फ्रेम पे बैठे हुए हम देख रहे हैं कि भाई P1 और P2 एक साथ हो रहे हैं, तो क्या ये ज़रूरी है कि अगर एक और फ्रेम है जो कि एच टेस्ट फ्रेम है और वो वेलोसिटी v वेलोसिटी से भाग रहा है, तो क्या इसके लिए भी ये दोनों इंसिडेंट जो इंसिडेंट है वो सेम टाइम पे होगा? क्या ये इंसिडेंट सेम टाइम पे होगा, यानी ये भी साइमल्टेनियस होगा इस एच टेस्ट फ्रेम के लिए भी? तो आंसर है नहीं होगा, और उसका प्रूफ ये रहा आपके पास. ठीक है. T1 डैश ले लीजिए, T2 डैश ले लीजिए और दोनों को माइनस करिए तो आपके पास आ जाएगा गामा T2 माइनस T1 माइनस गामा v बाई सी स्क्वायर x2 माइनस x1. ओके. अब क्या है कि T2 माइनस T1 आपका जीरो होगा, क्योंकि आप पहले ही बोल चुके हो कि P1 और P2 जो है दोनों सेम टाइम पे हो रहा है विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एस फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस. ओके. तो T1 T2 के बराबर होगा तो T2 माइनस T1 टर्म ज़ीरो हो जाएगा, तो आपके पास T1 T2 डैश माइनस T1 डैश का टर्म आएगा जो कि जीरो नहीं है. इट इज़ नॉट जीरो. देयरफॉर वी से दैट साइमल्टेनिटी डज नॉट होल्ड फॉर अदर फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस. Okay, this should be very very clear. Now next one is purely mathematical addition of velocities. It is purely mathematical, nothing else, addition of velocity, but it is also of very importance because a lot of questions come from here. Now suppose there are two frame S and H dash with their respective coordinates. When we first differentiate it, we get their velocities in their frame. Now we know these formulas from Lagrange, Lorentz transformation. Then we differentiate these terms. We get dx is equals to gamma dx dash plus v dt dash. Then dy is equals to dy dash. Then dz is equals to dz dash. Then dt is equals to gamma times of dt dash plus v dx dash plus c square. Okay. Now we know from here that ux is equals to dx by dt. So we put here the value of dx from here and then the value of dt from here, and when we put it, we divide it, we divide it by dt, and we get these results. Okay, the result for ux, the result for uy, and the result for uz. Now these three results are very important, especially this one. This one is much important than any other. This ux is equals to ux dash plus vy1 plus v ux dash by c square, and then uy is equals to uy dash and nothing else on the upper term, and the lower term is the same as this one. It also contains ux dash, uz also contains ux dash. The only difference is that gamma is multiplied here, and we know what is gamma, 1 by root under 1 minus v square by c square. It is only multiplied here and nothing else. Okay, so you get ux, uy, uz. Now what are these terms actually? What does these terms actually represent? Now suppose we have I am standing on earth, which is considered to be S frame of reference. Obviously for most of the cases earth frame or lab frame are represented as S frame of reference. Then we have a S dash frame of reference which is moving with a velocity v with respect to S frame of reference, and there is an event occurring here. This event could be a missile, an asteroid, a comet, or even a bullet. Okay, so this is some event. Now what is ux here? Ux is the velocity of this event with respect to me, the person is standing on S frame. And what is ux dash? What is ux dash? Ux dash is actually velocity of the event with respect to S dash frame. This is very important. These three terms are very important, and there are a lot of numericals that come from here. So remember these the three equations, and I will be solving a lot of questions on it later on after we complete it. So be ready for it, and I will leave nothing in special theory of relativity. If you have any doubts till now, kindly ask. That's all for today. Thanks.